And we are talking to Tereza de Arruda about the work of Chiharu Shiota, who we are very honored to represent now, and planning a big first solo exhibition upstairs in the nave in January 2021. And Chiharu Shiota is an artist living in Berlin since 25 years, I'd say, and originally coming from Tokyo. She represented Japan in the Venice Biennale a couple of years ago, and just opened a big exhibition which Tereza de Arruda curated in Brazil, where we're going to hopefully find out more about it. I will see if this works. Here we are. It seems to work smoothly.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm
Happy
fine.
Easter.
I'm fine. Yes, happy Easter. Here we are.
Thank you for taking the time talking to us about Chiharu's work.
Yes, it's my pleasure to be with you and with your audience, sharing with all of you what we have from Chiharu Shiota, her great projects and so on.
And how is the whole Corona situation affecting you? I mean, I think the show in Brazil just closed, no? Temporarily.
Yeah. Yes, we opened the exhibition. It's a traveling exhibition. It started last year in São Paulo, but we opened it on the 2nd of March in Brasilia. And just 1 week after, we really closed the exhibition. And we are working as much as we can to present it, to bring the exhibition to the audience, because, you know, we should stay at home. This is the best thing that we have to do right now. And in Brazil, this one institution where we present the project, it's the Cultural Center of the Brazilian Bank. We have many, many visitors usually. Yeah. And so it's our responsibility to keep this alive in this period of reclusion. So that's it.
And I saw pictures of the space. It's a beautiful glass pavilion, and it looks like as if Chiharu, even if it's a traveling exhibition, it's a site-specific installation, right?
Yes, this one we will share also with your audience some views of the exhibition. It's a traveling one. We conceived it for 3 venues of the CCBB in Brazil. So we started in São Paulo. It's right now in Brasilia, and it will finish in Rio. So we have a comprehensive exhibition with works produced since 1994, till some new works produced for the exhibition. And we have 3 installations. And this one that you saw is the main one that we presented.
Do you have a picture of it on hand right now?
Yes, I do have.
Because I find it's interesting. It looks like, it reminds a bit of National Gallery here in Berlin from the view at least.
From the architecture itself, it looks a bit, I will show you, probably I can show you a kind of making of this exhibition, of this one specific work. You know, we'll try to use as many hands as we have. I hope it's okay for you.
Sure, very good.
So here we have this pavilion, you see, and this one venue of CCBB, it's in a park. And we produced this making of. We were working 10 days. The name of the installation is Beyond Memory. It was conceived for Brazil, and even being a site specific, we are traveling the project. Chiharu and we were in Brazil with also her assistant from the studio, Julia, last year. We had a technical visit traveling to the 3 different venues. And after that, Chiharu made this proposal. You know, it's site specific, but we have the responsibility to keep it traveling. So we are working with a huge team. We have her assistants from Berlin coming. We have a team from São Paulo, and everywhere we have also a local team. For this one, we were working 10 days. We were about 12 people working all together. Wow. And it was during Carnival in Brazil. So we were isolated in this beautiful white pavilion, glass pavilion, to realize this one project. And for this venue, we were very lucky because we could, in the other venues, it would be a kind of floated installation. But here we could bring it to the floor and create different niches. Here I was talking. It's a video we produced for the CCBB. You know, it will be on their website, but it's all in Portuguese. So it's good we are talking a bit. You know?
I also looked at your lecture in
Oh,
Portuguese.
okay.
And tell me how and why in this case Chiharu choose to, because we have a beautiful work of hers here with red thread, which is her very typical. I mean, this is very beautiful in with the white elements. You know how she makes the distinguished decision of when it's white and when it's red?
Yeah, let's go back. You know, in the work of Chiharu, she works usually with three different colors: white, red, and black. The white one, you know, her work has a lot to do with the life, the human being, this transitority, this ephemeral character of the life itself. You know, we are all kinds of passengers on this journey. And the white is almost a representation of the begin, very pure, the start of life, if you could say. No?
In a
You could
sense
think
also,
about
huh?
this. Yes, there's a metaphor to the beginning of life. The red one represents the blood, you know, the veins that we have in our body. It's life, our existence. And then the last one is the black. The black is a kind of dramatic. It represents this uncertain journey. It represents the obscurity of life or this unknown destiny that we have. And even if she does not has the human figure represented in her work, I believe this one work that you are presenting, it's one of her canvas, what would be one of her paintings. But she does not use traditional elements. She's not using color. She's not using brushes. She's just using the canvas as a support, but she's sewing. She is using this red thread. And I do not know if this work you're presenting, it's if the name is Skin, but
Yes, it
usually,
is.
yes, it is. So it is part of this one series of work. She developed this kind of painting in the last years. You know, she had this very traditional education in Japan. She started studying in Kyoto at 92 when she was only 20 years old. And they had a very traditional education. And then when she finished it, she decided to come to Germany to study here and to go for new ways of creating her work. Because, you know, canvas and paintings, it was not her main project of life. You know, she knew she could go ahead than this.
She had this like kind of life-changing dream, right? Where she was like waking up and being like,
and becoming painting.
yeah.
Oh, you know, may I show you some views of the exhibition that we have in
Please.
Brazil? Because there we have also this work.
Yeah.
We will make a little tour there, just 1 second. We'll go through different galleries. It's a short tour, okay? Only kind of 4 minutes. And I will try to stop.
We don't even have home office today, you know?
Yeah, okay. So you see, for instance, in Brasilia, we are presenting the work in 3 different galleries. This is one of the main galleries. And here we focus also on a series.
Is this beyond the glass pavilion now, what we see?
No, it's another one. We have 3 different buildings there.
Okay.
You know, it is a whole complex, like a park. They were not conceived as exhibition halls, but they were transformed into, you know. And here we have the focus on this work that you mentioned from the Venice Biennial 2015. It was the installation, The Key in the Hand, which was quite important for her. And after that, everybody knew who is Chiharu Shiota, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, this one element, the boat, it's not for her just a boat. She started using it there in Venice. She did not choose a boat because it's the mean of transport in Venice. But a boat for her, it reminds of the shape of a hand, you know, something to keep, to get a donation, to exchange, you know.
Like a vessel.
Yeah, and even, you know, the hands for herself, it's very important in her whole work because she produces everything by hand, you know. She's this kind of artist, yes, who is really making, producing, you know.
Yeah,
and let's go a bit ahead. In this one segment, we included, you see different other objects, and we have drawings also. These are quite new objects.
I mean, it's interesting, as you said about the piece we have here, the skin work. It is a painting because she approaches as a painting, but at the same time, of course, it's a sculpture as well, right? Because it's only 3-dimensional material woven on the canvas.
involves, yes, even some drawings that she makes, she's making it with mixed medias because she's sewing them, you know,
Yeah.
this kind of waving, you
And,
know.
and she acquires the thread colored, right? I mean, she's not coloring it herself. She just
No.
yeah.
She chose them. They are already produced like this,
Yeah.
you know. And you know what is, yes, so it took her a long time to come to this. You see these drawings where she's still talking about these elements, the hand, the body. So this was a view in the first gallery. It's still the first gallery that we have. And if she's making a drawing, they are they are not the kind of sketches for works that she will produce. Here we have some of her lithographies. Oh, you have them too.
Yeah, I
Here we
put them up
are.
here.
That's nice.
And then often they have like original thread on them.
Yes, like this one. Yes. She was sewing on the paper, you
Yeah.
know, and they are not sketches for installations that she will produce. The drawings and the lithographies and everything. They are works by themselves, you know, selbstständige works. They are not just kind of studies for installations.
What I find very interesting with them is that they really grow on you, you know? They're kind of shy.
Yes. Yeah, they are quite intimate.
Yeah.
And you know, doing this project in Brazil right now, we had already an exhibition there, 2015, in another institution. But coming back to Brazil, it was important to present a more complex context about her development and about her work. So that's why in the galleries we present this body of works. This is the first gallery. We are now in the ground floor. They have 2 layers. So it is important to contextualize where the installations come from. You see here the line and the thread. I will stop here.
Yeah.
You see, we produced for the exhibition in Brazil 3 different installations. This one, the name is 2 Boats, 1 Direction. After 2015, the Venice Biennial, she kept on using boats for different kinds of installations. So it's part of the body of her works. But these ones right now, they are not real boats as the one that she used in Venice. They are created boats. They are metaphor of real boats. And you know, Johan, if we look at these boats today, this one kind of installation, we are talking about our reality.
Yeah.
You know, just right now, all of us in reclusion, the whole world, we are all on the same boat. We are all in the same journey. You know, it's a real trip.
Especially right now, it's really, I mean, from China to Australia, everybody is in the same situation.
Everybody on the same boat, you know, no excuse. And you see, you have on the side, on the left side, you represent one of her lithographies, and we have on the right side one installation. We can see very clear the influence of the I would say, Oriental calligraphy.
Yeah,
you know, the boat, if I tell you it's not an installation, you think, okay, this is a drawing, this is something like this. You know, I will go through it. You see the details.
And also somehow the figurative element in the middle, right? And
yes.
Like surrounded by a net.
Yes, they are. Yes, exactly. This is this kind of extension of the universe. Oh, we will stop here. You see, we have also one work, Skin, in the exhibition.
Yeah.
Now we are in the second gallery. And we have a kind of works related to the one you started to talk about on the right side. We have some images of the performance becoming painting. And we will go through the gallery and then we will see more of it. And this becoming painting, it was, we will stop when we come there. And then I will tell you, this is red line. It's a kind of painting that she made with her hands. You see the same works that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, in silence.
And tell me, this exhibition, it's only traveling in Brazil?
Yes. It's traveling in Brazil. We were very lucky. We had every works from Chiharu's studio.
Yeah.
Only one piece is from a collection, private collection from São Paulo. And but we worked many years for this project. The first time we were together in one of the venues of CCBB, it was 2015. So it took us a long, long time. So you see, here is the work. Just tell you very brief about becoming painting. When she was still a student, 94, living in Japan, she went for the first trip out of Japan. It was an internship with an art academy in Australia.
Yeah.
So it was the first time she had this distance from her local context. And she had a dream that she was becoming painting. She was part of a painting. She was a painter herself.
Yeah.
And then after that, still, when she waked up the following days, she made this one performance there in Australia. And her performances, they have this intimate character. She does not make it for the audience. They are done much more for herself, you know, as an exercise for herself.
Yeah.
And since this moment, she knew she had to expand her creative way, her way of making art. She realized that canvas and brushes and ink were not the only medium for her.
She even considered stopping, I think, right? And then figured out there's no way for her to stop.
Yeah, but not really stopping, but to make a kind of break, really to realize how to go ahead. But she was still very young. She was 22 at this time.
Yeah.
So she would have a long, long journey. So we keep on watching this one. You see here.
For the audience watching and listening, I can really recommend. It's a nice podcast by the Museum of Canberra.
Oh yes.
Discussing her work and her Australian influence somehow on Chiharu's work.
Yeah, yeah. You know, just going through, this is a second installation there we presented in Brazil, created there. We were very lucky because when we were planning the exhibition in São Paulo, we could make a partnership with the Japan House. Japan House is a kind of a Goethe Institute, you know, it's supported by the Japanese government. Yeah. There are 3 venues in the world, São Paulo, Los Angeles, and London. Yeah. And in São Paulo, because we have over there a huge community of Japanese people. Yeah. So when we were planning CCBB, we could also make the approach with them, or this happened almost simultaneous. And we had in São Paulo 2 simultaneous exhibitions. They opened, this was Internal Line, the name of the installation, also of this one exhibition. Both of them opened last November, and they happened till middle of February. And, you know, they were very popular. We had both of them in 3 months, about 300,000 visitors.
Wow.
Yes, and this one works.
That's often the case with Chiharu, right? She's a real attraction always for attendees, right? When I saw the Mori Museum exhibition of her in Tokyo, there were like queues around I mean, it's a skyscraper, but it was like time tickets and thousands of people waiting. It was really impressive.
Yeah, you know, because of her work, you know, she's dealing with a kind of poetic and even the materiality, what is very connected with the daily life. Yeah. We did not have to write huge of text. We did not have to make a kind of discussion or explanation of it, because it has a very, very direct narrative.
And physical experience, huh? Like
also, and also very intimate. And that's why the people were really interested to get into her work, to be part of it. This is what she offers us with this, with some of the installations. This one, Internal Line, we could not walk through, but the other ones, Beyond Memory, it was a kind of experience for the audience to be part of it. And this is the idea. For instance, works like the one Beyond Memory, the white one that we made. Her idea is just to connect people independent of their background, independent of their cultural, political, or religious background. It's a way of creating this path, you know, connecting everybody who comes from different destinations and different contexts and so on.
How she after she returned from Australia, she went to Hamburg to study with Marina Abramovic. How important do you think this was for her practice?
Well, when she chose Germany to study, she was researching for interesting artists that could be important for her development. So that's why she came to Germany. She decided to come to Germany. And we have to think at that time, at the end of the 90s, no, she came 96 to Germany. Well, we had this kind of euphoria. Germany was a real lab for the art scene,
Yeah.
just a few years after the wall came down. So with Marina Abramovic, she had a big experience related to the body itself, what it's mean of the work of Chiharu, and also this kind of expression and being protagonist of their own work. But Chiharu never worked at making the performances in the way of presenting it for the audience. But we really saw with Becoming Painting, it was a kind of performative act that Chiharu realized even before coming to Germany. You know, if she was familiar to Marina Abramovic's work at that time, we do not know. But then she came, she had a long way here. She started in Hamburg and then went to Braunschweig and finalized in Berlin at the Akademie der Künste with Rebecca Horn also.
Yeah, exactly.
And yes, and since 1999, she decided to stay in Berlin and be part of this huge lab, which it was at the end of 90s.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I'm flipping through this catalog right now, and I arrived at my most favorite work of Chiharu's, which is this installation of Berlin windows.
Yes.
Which I really, really love. So these are, maybe there's a picture from the houses where she took it from, at least sometimes she shows it. So what she did here is she took windows of buildings which are gotten renovated, and then assembled a big like slope room installation you can walk into, built of these windows, and Chiharu uses, I mean, you know better than I do, but she uses like keys and windows and suitcases, elements of like history, right, which are charged by which have something like an auric history or something. How would you describe it?
Yes. Okay. I think they use. Let's go back. We go back. Okay. One of the subjects of her work is the memory, and the memory exists out of found objects that she collects all over her life. Some of them are really personal objects, some of her clothes and shoes. But at that moment, at the end of the 19th, Berlin was really, really under construction. And lots of material were just thrown away. And she was collecting them because they were still alive for her. You know, the memory is a very important element.
Yeah.
You have even this one edition in your gallery that you presented about this one piano, the work in silence. You know, this photo of the destroyed piano. Yes,
yeah.
We can talk a bit about it again.
Yeah. And what I find interesting is so she studied with Abramovic and with Rebecca Horn. And who was there before? It's the study system in Japan is not really with classes led by one teacher, right?
Oh, but she had one very specific teacher. I will mention the name.
Oh, Post Monoha artist, right?
Yes, it was it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they are still in touch. I think he was even at her opening at the Mori Museum exhibition. Okay, so, you know, we are talking about this one object that Chiharu is using in her works. Here you have an image of the edition of the work in silence. There is a story behind it. There are always stories, and it's nice to share with you. When Chiharu was a child, still living in Osaka, where she was born, the house of the neighbor burned. And she came back from school and saw the destroyed piano of her neighbor direct on the street. But at that moment, this one image of the destroyed piano did not shock her at all. She was not sad about it. Yeah. Because what she kept in mind was the beautiful sound of the piano that her neighbor used to play in the past. So after that, she decided to include this one element related to this one story. in some of her installations, these images that you have, it's a kind of preparation for one of these installations. She burned the piano before, you know, and kept this one image. It's the same as the experience with becoming painting, that one performance was not for the audience, but the act of doing it was important.
Yeah.
So, and then using like piano, shoes, and windows, or even the luggage in her work. It's talking about memory. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes there are different discourse, but her work's not necessarily directed to a kind of political subject. But if we make a kind of installation in Germany using luggage, the people say, "Oh my God, we are talking about
Auschwitz.
politics, Auschwitz,
Yeah.
and so
And
on."
also boats, of course, they remind you of
The migration or
refugees
the
and so on. Yeah,
refugees,
I
but it's
think
not.
I think a lot of these images, they're just like coming from dreams, or they're very personal, almost like in the subconscious, no?
Yes, yes, it's
Yeah.
a very subjective way of producing. You know, it comes all out of her own experience, all of her own dreams, and that's why it's always very intimate, everything.
Yeah.
No? And you know, she was in Berlin at that time when Berlin was under construction. So she collected those windows everywhere. It was this one kind of transformation of the city. She wanted to keep the essence of it so that this part does not disappear. And for her, the memory is not talking about absence. The memory is talking about one existence that will be kept in our mind. Even the big installations, as we did the Beyond Memory, the exhibition, this one installation will be dismounted. It will not exist after the exhibition anymore. But for her, it's important that the audience and the ones who were close to it, they keep this one memory. It's a temptation to create also a kind of collective experience.
And this one, I mean, when I saw them the first time, they kind of reminded me also a bit of the Orgian Mysterian Theater by Hermann Nietzsche. But
Yes,
you
yes.
think there's any connection?
No, there is
No,
not.
right?
You know,
No.
at that sense, for Hermann Nietzsche, it was a very visceral installation. It is, because
Yeah.
he's still alive and producing. But for Chiharu, it has a lot to do with her experience and her temptation to expand the context of the art, or at that time, the painting, for
Yeah.
herself.
I mean, another, maybe it leads a bit too long, but another very interesting aspect, I think, in her work is her ambivalent relationship to Japan, which we have a gallery in Japan, and I must say I was very surprised about the extreme conservatism in Japan. You know, it's like my wife, she did all the negotiations, and we have a young gallery director there, and then there is this rule. So she was like doing it all, but there's this rule in conversations that the man talks first, and that really is still today, and he's half Australian, half Japanese. And then people said to me, like Japanese collectors, if we couldn't find a full Japanese gallery director, which of first I thought that's kind of a weird comment, but then later thinking about it, if you apply that to Germany, you know,
Yeah.
and let's say I have a Turkish German director, and somebody would say, couldn't you find a full German? I mean, that's like so unbelievable racist, you know. And the Japanese society, as much as I love it, as much as I really love to be in Japan, and I appreciate the culture, it is very also, I think, in the relation to men and women, it's pretty intense, no?
Yeah, it is. It's very conservative, very traditional.
Yeah.
And I believe that's why also Chiharu decided it's not the place for her to be and also to develop her work. You know, even if you present the images of the body, naked body, it's, you know, it's a don't do it. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's so
completely,
conservative in
yeah.
the sense. And I mean, naked body is the most simple thing that we have. Everybody
Yeah.
was born naked. No? So that's why there are this kind of...
But then on the
over
other
there.
hand, with Yayoi Kusama and Chiharu Shiota being the most internationally acclaimed and most important Japanese artist on a respected intellectual level also, you know.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course, I love Takeshi Murakami, but it's a different. I mean, the
Approach.
market, you know, and so so there is a worship for them and out due respect, no?
Yeah, yeah, they are
So
talking about.
it's a weird conflicted situation. Oh yes, I wanted to have get some questions in here. Where can we watch the videos shown?
Oh, there is a website of the CCBB, and well, someone will post. Some of my assistants will post the link to us, and then you can watch them.
We can okay, and we also
or you can also post. We will make a link also. We can probably make a link also to your gallery.
Please. And
Yes.
how long do you know Chiharu?
Oh, we know each other since many years. We've been working together since about 12 years, something like this. Because I'm also based in Berlin. I come from São Paulo. I live here more than 30 years. And I was following this one transformation at the beginning. And then I could see the beginning of the career of Chiharu. And we started really to cooperate about 12 years ago. So we did different projects together.
And you run this foundation from here? From
No,
Berlin?
I do not run the foundation.
Oh, yeah.
I am one of the curators. You know, this foundation, I will tell you something about it because it's quite important for us and also for not just the Brazilian, but also the international art scene.
Yeah.
It's a foundation created by the Brazilian Bank, Cultural Center of the Brazilian Bank. It started about 30 years ago. They have 4 venues in Brazil: São Paulo, Brasília, Rio de Janeiro, and Belo Horizonte. Mm-hmm. And usually we submit a project to them in terms of every 2 years. And it's a very, very popular one. And I want to share with you something what is very special for us. I will show you something.
I need to, unfortunately, I never get these questions off. So the screen, unfortunately, is kind of compromised now.
As an Oscar is every drawing precious and every... what is there? Okay,
yep.
let me just show you something.
Please, yep.
Talking about the foundation. You know, it's a public one. It is supported by public money. What I show here is a ranking published last year, and last week by the art newspaper about the 20 most popular exhibitions in 2019. And you see in the rank, the first, second, third, they were at CCBB. And then we have the 10th also, and the last one also. So under 20 exhibitions, most visited in the world. I mean, we have 6 listed here.
Wow.
And it's a big responsibility for all of us when we are involved with them, because we deal with public money, we deal with this huge audience, you know, and so I am one of the curators who have been working with them for different projects that I've been proposing the last years.
And how infected were you by the political change of Bolsonaro?
Oh, that's good that you mentioned this, because it's difficult to talk about Brazil nowadays without talking about politics.
Yeah.
And Brazil is such a big country. We have about more than 200 million inhabitants.
Yeah.
And our democracy is so young, so young.
Yeah.
You know, it started in the 80s. It's so sad to see the misuse of it. And then we have, for sure, lots of attack also in the cultural context. But we have to keep on fighting against this. The best way is to keep on doing. We have this responsibility with the audience. You see, we are presenting Brazil. We are putting Brazil in the international ranking. We are bringing international artists to the Brazilian audience who would never have the chance to see it. It's the best way, you know, through art and culture to educate the people. And
I 100%
you see,
agree.
nowadays, isolation, what would be out of us without books?
I 100% agree. And also these times everybody will get over them, you know? It comes in cycles. United States will survive Trump and Brazil will survive Bolsonaro. You know, we survived even darker times, you know?
Yeah. So that's why also that one work that we saw, Two Boats, One Direction, this is a real metaphor of these days. You know, we are all on this boat looking for a kind of, you know, we are in this journey, but we have to do the best out of it. It's our responsibility. You know, we are not just doing this for because it's nice to be dealing with art, or, you know, and even the artists, they are kind of protagonists of this context. You know, they are seeing all this, they are living all this, they are giving an answer to this, and we have to turn it public. That's what we are doing now here virtually.
Yes. Tereza, thank you so much. That was really an inspiration. I really hope to see you in person soon.
Yes.
And for those watching here, some of these books are out of print, I think, but most of them you can order from our online shop, and we will share all the links from Tereza's videos and also the podcast I listened to, which was very interesting. Oh, one last thing. I heard that, but I didn't have the chance to witness it, but have you ever seen Chiharu giving a lecture?
No.
Because apparently she did that once, and it must have been so impressive. We both of us have to see if we can at least ask her to do one.
You know, I was at the opening at Modern Museum at the press conference when she was talking. It's very tough, but for Chiharu, she is the artist. She means her work speaks by herself, you know, so we could make it. It would be very tough for her, but I would say the work is there, you know, for us.
And Tereza, thank you so much for talking for her.
Thank you.
That was
thank you,
a
Johan.
Thank you. Have
My
a nice
pleasure.
day.
Have a nice day.
Ciao,
okay,
ciao.
take care. Keep safe and at home.
You too, and wash your hands.
Okay.